from Casey Andrew on the Facebook wall. He says, Rod, is that a Florida rat on your desk? Is it authentic? Can we do this again? We had to do it earlier in the week. Mm-hmm. We'll do it. Can you hand me the other rat, please?
Yes, I can.
Both these rats came from my buddy Kenny Wasden, the Waz in Saskatoon. This rat is tagged. And it says on it, authentic goal rat. Year of the Rat, 1996 Stanley Cup Final. So this one's not tagged, but I'm pretty sure this one came from Florida as well. So we got two rats here, and they're straight from Florida. Of course, you think we'd have anything here that's not authentic? Why would we do it if we wasn't? And by the way, the Navy guys wrote me, and they're going to send me a Navy hat to put on top of the Army helmet.
Okay.
So we're going to have to move the rats.
Yeah, well... Ooh, that's impressive.
See how long that stays. The rats are on top of each other for those of you that are listening and can't see the program. Speaking of, Prairie Mobile text line is always open. 306-840-8777. That is 840-8777. Prairie Mobile, your authorized SaskTel mobility dealer. Stephen, by the way, writing us back from Minot, North Dakota. He says, I prefer Rider Talk, but the RP show prevents the listeners being overwhelmed and connects to more sports and more fans worldwide. Thanks! Exclamation mark, all caps. That from Stephen in North Dakota. You want Rider Talk? What is there to say right now?
Nothing.
No, there's nothing to say.
I mean, we can get into a lot. There's always stuff we can talk about. But there's more important things going on outside of
that would be fake news. That would be creating news.
Yes. And that would be us debating, the depth chart and who's going to play. And we can do those things, but there's other things.
And then the rest of the country hits that X in the top of the corner.
Yeah, they're sleeping.
It's February 20th, and what's going on with the Riders really aren't anywhere near my Elite Eight show topics. Although... that's not to say we're not fans. If people want to write in, we'll talk about whatever the hell you want. We're going to have Chris Lugan joining us shortly, the coach and GM of the Estevan Bruins. So any questions you want, because that's always fun. Mm-hmm. We've had a few of those days where people write in and we'll ask the questions with what they want. Sean in Saskatoon says, I like Rider Talk and I love my Riders, but I love the CFL talk. I don't know what is the topic of an interview that's going on in Hamilton, or did go on this morning with Martian Mello, but I was following the few times that I've been on Twitter this morning. The commissioner was on Martian Mello in Hamilton, TSN 1150, with a lot of comments here from the commissioner. And I don't know why. Here's one from CFL News on Twitter. Saskatchewan, this is from Randy Ambrosi on Hamilton Radio this morning. Saskatchewan didn't like the Banjo Bowl. It was originally an insult, but it's turned out to be one of the greatest home-and-home games in our league. It just turned into something, but that was essentially bulletin board material. Why they're talking about the Banjo Bowl on Hamilton Radio, I have no idea. But that is one of 7,653 things I didn't agree with the Riders on. I mean, they to this day will not acknowledge the Banjo Bowl. Mm-hmm. Have never have. And I'm like, come on, guys. It's a joke, right?
Yeah. No.
And that predates several regimes. It's not the current Rider people. It was Trent Fraser, one of my closest friends. We couldn't come to an agreement on that. That might have it was before Jim Hobson. Now that I think it's before Hobson. Goes back a really long ways.
Wow.
Back when we used to sit around and talk about this stuff within the offices. And they're like, no, we're not going to support this. It's insulting to the Saskatchewan people. Yes, it is. But one thing about Saskatchewan people is we don't care. Get insulted all the time.
Yep. I mean, that's it. And if the people are okay with it, and take the temperature of your fans, if they're embracing it, calling it the Banjo Bowl, then embrace it too, right? I mean, lean into it. It's a great way to promote marketing, and you want to call us banjo-picking inbreds. I think that was the quote, right? And he's a friend now who made the quote, Troy Westwood. But go in there and take the trophy back. Win the trophy. It's good. It's good for business. It's fun. Sell more merchandise, right? Banjo Bowl merchandise.
Oh, and by the way, the whole concept of it was with proceeds going to charity. So, I mean, it comes down to whether you can laugh at yourself or you can't. And in that, I think it was 2003, it was deemed that we're not going to laugh about it. We're not going to support it. So here we go. Tyler Dacu, our social media advisor, says, I would watch a 2-hour show where the premise is Rod and Trent Fraser trying to come to an agreement. Oh, we didn't fight much or disagree on much at all. That was one. The whole Canada's team theme, that slogan, that's a story for another time. But it's a good one, where Canada's team came from. I don't know that I'm going to get into that today because I don't want to bore the rest of Canada. But I will say this. I came back from Vancouver, where the Riders were referred to as Canada's team by some of the BC Lions media. And I'm like, Trent, I got it. Canada's team. Our team sucks so bad, and our players aren't very good. We can't market any of that, but we're Canada's team, and here's why. Over the fence, gone. People still talk about it. Wayne in Victoria, BC. That's the problem with the political correct culture today. Everyone gets offended all the time. And thank you for signing off your name, Wayne, with Victoria, BC. My little request of people to sign off didn't go very far or last very long, did it?
Yeah.
Please sign off where you're watching from. That would help everybody. Probably help grow the show, too.
Well, it started in hour one when we were in Chicago and we were all over the place, Norway and multiple places in the States, Alabama, and we were in Mexico and we were in Hawaii and Canada. And it was cool. So we wanted to see where everybody was listening from.
Well, it's kind of hard to affect change. 21 days makes a habit, 90 days makes a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to correct this in 21 minutes. But can we please sign your location with where you're watching from? I don't ask for much. And by the way, back to that Banjo Bowl thing, it's really got people talking already. Chad Isaac writes in and he says, what sells faster than any 2 games in the league? Labor Day / Banjo Bowl? None.
No.
And it goes back to the politically correct. Yes, everybody's offended. The Riders were offended by the Banjo Bowl. Laugh at it. Who cares? From Ricky Regina. He's watching. Ricky Kazam over at Ballers. Actually, he says he's in the office at the Tap. Thank you, Ricky. Great show, Rod. Watching from the office at the Tap. Thanks. Thank you, Ricky, for doing that. Clark reminding me to pass this along. It's the only establishment in Regina that serves the Pink Whitney.
Yes.
We established that last night. That's the vodka popularized by Ryan Whitney and Paul Bissonnette from the Spit and Chicklets podcast. The Tap and Ballers, the only 2 places that serve the Pink Whitney. And I'll have to take your word for it.
Yeah. No, it's popular, super popular. And so it's sold out of all the stores, but they've got it to order. So you can go in and enjoy it.
And one more. I'm not going to read them all. They'll come up on the screen. But from our director of scouting, Craig Smith, he says, watching from Regina Glen Cairn, 3.9 kilometers from the bunker.
Giving everybody clues as to where this field might be in Western Canada.
We've covered a lot of things here. Gregory Lee writes in, he says, Rod, what's your opinion on Yamamoto playing with Leon? I like it, but Leon could play with a fire hydrant, and the fire hydrant would score 30 goals playing with Leon Draisaitl. But I like it. I really like Kailer Yamamoto. That was a tough ending last night. I was watching it with my wife. As soon as they sent that outlet pass out to Pasternak, it's over. Could have turned it off. God bless Mike Smith for going for the old school poke check, but it wasn't going to work with Pasternak coming in at full speed. Again, a fire hydrant could play with Leon Draisaitl and look good. But Kailer Yamamoto can actually keep up.
He can play. Just
on the Rider thing for a second, very much enjoying sitting back, watching the free agency play out. Have you been seeing on social media, like I have, the criticism that O'Day has been receiving?
Oh, yeah.
For not doing more in social...
That's everybody's criticism all the time, is everybody feels like you've lost free agency when you're not making a splash and signing a big name. And, you go back to hockey and Toronto signing John Tavares on free agency is massive. Biggest free agent signing in a long time, if not ever, on free agent day. But if they're not doing that, and that's the biggest ever, if you're not doing that, people are criticizing you. Why aren't you doing more? Why aren't you making this team better? How come you're not making a splash? And you see big names go, and people are saying, well, why haven't the Riders signed Darrell Walker? Why haven't they done this? Why haven't they signed this guy or that guy? And look at how much better Toronto's gotten. We haven't gotten that much better. Well, guess what? The Riders were pretty darn good last year. Not a lot of holes to fill on that team. And they did a good job locking up their guys. The biggest holes were in the linebacking core, and Jeremy O'Day did a fine job bringing guys back and filling the holes that needed to be filled with Derek Moncrief leaving. So there wasn't a lot for them to do. And do you want to sign a splashy running back and get rid of William Powell? Do you want to sign a bigger free agent quarterback than James Franklin? You don't need to. You don't need to sign the big receiver because you got Shaq Evans back. I think they've done a good job. There wasn't anything for them to do.
We have our next guest logged in, so we'll go to him next. From Jack, watching from the planet Vulcan, Alberta, home of Spock. Thank you to all our Alberta viewers. 1 in 10 of our viewers is in Alberta. Asking where they're viewing from Alan Lee. Writes in on the Facebook wall, Dupes. He says, drumroll, please. Watching from the intern seat. Is that ever here? He's in the facility.
He's at the controls.
He's in the facility. I never see him in the morning. He beats us all to work.
Oh, no.
The kids are real keener.
He's a worker. He's in there.
He's a worker.
And he's in that chair.
I like it.
And at the controls, and away he goes.
Brady in Saskatoon says, hey, Rod, will you have an NHL trade deadline show? Brady, that's a hard no. You can get that on 1,800 channels in Canada. You don't need it here.
Although we will be on the air Monday morning.
Yes, we will. But a break, by the way, tomorrow, Mark Cohan, I just want to say, for the football fans, Kim Murphy, the legendary CFL referee who announced his retirement on the weekend. And who was the third big name, Clark? Keon Raymond, running for the presidency of the CFL Players Association for the football fans. But we're going to talk junior hockey next. I can't wait. Hang on, everybody. It's the Rod Pedersen Show on Facebook Live and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.